In a world governed by numbers, where every financial decision echoed through the corridors of wealth, lived a man named Ethan. He was an ordinary individual with an extraordinary vision. Ethan had recently come into a sum of $10 million, a windfall that many would view as a ticket to instant gratification. However, Ethan had a different perspective. He saw this sum not as a destination, but as a launching pad for a much larger journey. His goal was to transform that 10 million into 100 million, not through luck or chance, but through a meticulously crafted strategy. Ethan understood the principles of wealth creation. He was well aware that the true power of multiplying wealth lay in a strategic mindset, one that prioritized long-term growth over quick profits. He immersed himself in the world of finance, learning about stocks, real estate, and thriving businesses. He discovered the art of compounding, the magical process by which money generates more money, allowing his wealth to work tirelessly behind the scenes. This was not going to be a sprint. It was a marathon, and he was prepared for the long run. His first step was to seek out mentors who had walked the path he aspired to travel. Among them was Daniel Ascend, a seasoned investor with a reputation for transforming modest fortunes into vast empires. Daniel had an uncanny ability to see potential where others saw risk, and he became a guiding light for Ethan. Their meetings were filled with discussions about market trends, investment strategies, and the importance of patience. Daniel emphasized that discipline was the cornerstone of success. Wealth is not built overnight, he would say. It's the result of consistent, calculated decisions. Ethan took these lessons to heart. He began by diversifying his investments. Rather than putting all his money into a single venture, he spread it across various assets. He invested in stocks of companies that had demonstrated resilience and growth potential, carefully analyzing their fundamentals and market positions. He sought out undervalued real estate properties in up-and-coming neighborhoods, envisioning the future potential of these investments. As he delved deeper into the world of business, he identified opportunities to invest in startups that aligned with his values and vision. Each decision was made with reason, steering clear of emotional impulses. He learned to detach himself from the noise of the market, focusing instead on the long-term potential of his investments. This strategic mindset allowed him to navigate the complex landscape of wealth creation with confidence. Surrounded by like-minded individuals, Ethan found a community of fellow investors who shared his commitment to growth. They exchanged ideas, celebrated successes, and supported one another during setbacks. This camaraderie reinforced Ethan's belief in the process, even when progress seemed slow. He learned that the journey to wealth was not linear. It was filled with twists and turns, yet each step was a building block toward his ultimate goal. As the months passed, Ethan's portfolio began to flourish. The stocks he had invested in steadily climbed, and the properties he purchased appreciated in value. The returns were not immediate, but he remained steadfast in his commitment to his strategy. He reinvested his earnings, letting the power of compounding work its magic. Each time he saw his net worth grow, it fueled his determination to keep going. Daniel often reminded him that wealth creation was as much about mindset as it was about numbers. "You must believe in your strategy," he would say, "and trust that the results will follow." This belief became a mantra for Ethan. He visualized his journey to 100 million, seeing it as a series of milestones rather than an unattainable dream. He understood that the substantial difference between 10 million and 100 million hinged not on fortune, but on an unwavering mindset. However, the path was not without its challenges. There were moments of doubt, times when the market fluctuated unpredictably, and investments didn't perform as expected. In these moments, Ethan leaned on his mentors and his community. He reminded himself of the principles he had learned and the discipline he had cultivated. He knew that setbacks were merely opportunities to learn and adapt. One pivotal moment came when an economic downturn threatened to derail his progress. Many investors panicked, selling off assets at a loss, but Ethan held firm. He revisited his investment thesis for each asset and reaffirmed his belief in their long-term potential. Instead of succumbing to fear, he seized the opportunity to buy undervalued stocks and properties, knowing that the market would eventually recover. Years passed, and Ethan's patience began to pay off. His 10 million had grown steadily, inching closer to his goal. The investments he had made, guided by the principles instilled in him by Daniel and his community, began to compound in ways he had only imagined. The journey was not just about the numbers. It was about the transformation he underwent along the way. He became a more astute investor, a disciplined decision-maker, and a believer in the power of strategic thinking. As the day approached when his net worth would reach 100 million, Ethan felt a mix of anticipation and gratitude. He had not only multiplied his wealth, but had also transformed his mindset. The journey had taught him that true wealth was not just about money, it was about empowerment, knowledge, and the ability to create opportunities. Finally, the moment arrived. With a mixture of excitement and calm, he checked his portfolio one last time. The numbers reflected his journey, the culmination of years of hard work, learning, and unwavering belief in the process. He had done it, not through luck, but through a strategic mindset that had guided him every step of the way. Ethan stood at the precipice of a new chapter, ready to share his knowledge with others who aspired to embark on their own financial adventures. He understood that the world was driven by numbers, but it was the mindset behind those numbers that truly held the power to shape destinies. This is Daniel Ascend, guiding you toward financial ascension.